Welcome to Plot Twist, where we dive into the heart of cinema's most unexpected moments. Every story has a twist, but some twists leave you speechless. Are you ready for the twist? Today we summarize for you the movie Upside Down Magic. The movie is classified as fantasy and was released in 2020, wishing you an enjoyable watch. Nuri, the protagonist of our film, tells us that her mother once told her two words to keep in mind. Every person has a unique trait and a purpose, even if they don't know it yet, but one day they will be able to make good use of it. Then she says, unfortunately, good things don't last. After she turned 7, it was just her and her father left, but the situation didn't affect them much because they were preoccupied with something more important. We see her watching a cat in the garden from the window. After focusing on it for a while, she starts growing a mustache and begins to transform into a cat. Her father walks in, nearly has a heart attack from shock, and almost collapses when he sees her transformation. Later, several years pass and she says, "Thank God, after 6 years of waiting, the long-awaited day has come. I'm about to fulfill my dream and go to Seer to showcase my magic in front of all the famous sorcerers in the world." But then we discover that she was actually introducing her friend Rena to encourage her, as Rena is always nervous, while Nuri never gets nervous. Instead, she's always hopeful and happy. Rena tells her not to overhype her, but Nuri replies, "What do you mean overhype? You're amazing. You're like a blazing fireball." She jokingly tells Rena not to show off too much to the audience and then demonstrates her magic by forming a fireball with her hands. We learn that Rena is also a sorceress with extraordinary abilities, and she will also be going along. Rena tells Nuri, "Now it's your turn. Show the audience your amazing animal transformations." Nuri tries to transform into a cat, but ends up turning into a half cat while something else also happens. However, Rena doesn't let her feel like anything went wrong and cheers her on, saying, "Wow, you're an artist. This is amazing. Better than Harry Potter and his friends." Nuri laughs and thanks her. They return to their normal forms, happy that they'll be going to school tomorrow. The next day, every extraordinary child stands with their parents, waiting, unsure of what to expect. The school had only instructed them to come and wait in a specific place. After a while, Nuri gets bored and asks her father, "Shouldn't something or someone come to take us?" He reassures her, "I'm sure something will happen. Don't worry, you'll make us proud." She replies, "I know, and I'm optimistic. Don't worry." Suddenly, the families and children hear birds flying away in fear and the sound of trees moving. They think a spaceship is about to land or the ground will crack open. But instead, a man emerges from the forest and greets them, saying, "What's up, everyone? Welcome to the forest. Your journey ends here. Any parent, please leave your child so we can proceed. See you on the holidays." He takes the children into the forest, and when they start making noise, he tells them to quiet down, jokingly warning that loud noises could attract all the forest monsters. The kids get scared and look around nervously, but he laughs, saying, "I'm kidding, guys. There are no monsters. Just keep it down." Nuri asks Rena, "What's up with this guy? Why does he seem upset?" She approaches him and asks, "What's wrong, Joe? Why are you upset?" He doesn't respond, and she says loudly in front of everyone, "Well, it's his loss." The guide then stands in front of a gate and tells them, "Follow me." He disappears, leaving the kids amazed. Nuri tells Rena, "Let's go." Nothing ventured, nothing gained. They enter together and find themselves in a strange and wonderful place. Inside, there are people playing with fire, riding in the air, transforming into animals, flying, and everything imaginable. They enter one of the buildings, and the headmistress greets them warmly, saying, "Welcome, young ones. We're thrilled to have you here." She explains that the school is divided into sections, one for flying, one for communicating with animals, one for controlling fire, one for transforming into any desired animal, and one for attracting objects. Each child is excited to see the section they belong to. However, she reminds them that dreams aren't free, and everyone will undergo a test tailored to their abilities to determine their section. The fire section goes first, where students are tasked with lighting a candle using their hands. The committee observes their energy use and success. One boy only produces smoke instead of fire, causing the committee to cough and declare him the first failure of the day. Rena performs exceptionally well, showcasing her extraordinary abilities and passing with flying colors. Next, the animal communications section is tested. Students are asked to talk to a dog and gather details about it, such as its name and address. Some succeed while others fail. The object attraction section follows, with most students succeeding except for one arrogant girl who accidentally pushes objects away instead of pulling them closer, breaking a vase and nearly injuring the committee. She is deemed a failure as well. The flying section tests students by asking them to demonstrate their flying skills. Joe, who always carries a bag to weigh him down, reveals that without it, he soars uncontrollably high. The committee has to call someone with a ladder to bring him down, and he is also marked as a failure. Finally, we reach the last category. Nuri belonged there. They used to ask the students to focus on the cat and then transform into something similar for 6 seconds, and they succeeded. Nori, with her extra enthusiasm, tried it too while everyone watched intently. She actually did it, and the judges started counting 1, 2, but suddenly, instead of just being a cat, Nori became a cat with bat wings and something else. The panel got scared, but then she turned back to normal. They told her, "Wow, you're amazing. No one else could do what you just did. Go on and you'll know your evaluation later." She responded, "All right, thank you so much. You guys are amazing," and left. All the children were waiting outside for the evaluation results after each received a piece of paper. Then the headmistress came out and said, "You guys have no idea how happy I am. Each of you, take your paper and write your name on it." They told her, "It's clear from your face that you're a kind-hearted person." She replied, "All right, go ahead, look at your papers, and each of you should go to the section you belong to." But Nuri found her paper with UDM written on it that she couldn't understand. Everyone else was heading to their assigned sections, but the headmistress told Nuri, "No, my dear, you're going over there." The girl walked toward the indicated area, following the signs until she reached a door in the ground. Startled, someone came out and asked, "What's wrong?" She replied, "I was walking with you this morning, and they told me to come here." He said, "All right, go ahead, step in and close the door behind you." She went down and found a room with 2 others who had failed the test. The man said to her, "Here's your outfit." She asked, "What outfit? Why are we here? And where are the fancy clothes the others outside have?" He replied, "You're supposed to be smart, but you mess things up. You have nothing to do with the others outside." Meaning this girl is flying something towards the committee, not her side. This boy is acting like a cigarette, and instead of blowing fire, he's blowing smoke. And this one is flying and can't land. And surely your magic has a problem too, called upside down magic. In short, it's called inverted magic. So you are welcome with us here in the Department of Inverted Magic that will never be fixed. She protested, "But this isn't fair. Why can't we go outside and try like everyone else?" He replied, "We'll stay here studying math and science and anything but magic. If you don't like it, tough luck." She responded, "Of course I don't like it. It doesn't make sense." The headmistress entered and said, "It makes perfect sense because your magic is broken." Nuri asked, "So what? Are you going to keep us locked up here forever?" The headmistress replied, "Not forever. Magic is like a muscle. The more you use and train it, the stronger it gets. But if you don't, it weakens. We'll keep you here until your magic fades to protect society from your harm." Nori protested. "Harm? We're just kids. We don't want to harm anyone." The headmistress replied, "You have every right to defend yourself, and I have every right to explain why I'm doing this. For years, we allowed those with reverse magic to stay with the other children without any issues. But in 1939, there was a very talented boy from the fire category. His magic was so strong it felt like it came from a furnace, not a person. Unfortunately, his magic was reversed, and that made him the perfect host for something called shadow magic. Shadow magic is chaotic and destructive with no purpose other than harm. He couldn't control it, and it caused many disasters. Thankfully, we managed to contain the situation. Since then, anyone with reverse magic stays here until their magic fades. Then they can join society and work as accountants, lawyers, or anything else. You're like ticking time bombs, just waiting to explode and ruin everything around you. Sharif, continue explaining to them." Sharif said, "All right, we understand why we're here, right? Good, now focus. Today's first lesson is about how to deal with shattered dreams and ambitions, like what just happened and how to accept them. Write this down." Meanwhile, we shift to Rena. Who was in the top class of the fire community. Her teacher announced an annual competition for the best students to showcase their talents. She called on Rena first, asking her to prepare popcorn perfectly. Rena tried, but it burned, and she didn't know why. The teacher reassured her, "Don't worry, it's just first-day nerves." Rena responded, "Okay, but every day is not the first day. Don't get used to it, and know that your chances will run out." The teacher replied. Later, it was revealed that another girl had sabotaged Rena's attempt, wanting her to fail in front of the teacher for some unknown reason. Back to Nuri and the other failures, their teacher surprised them with a special treat. He led them to a room in the school compound and opened the door to reveal giant brooms. Excited, Nuri grabbed one, stroked it, and then tried to fly with it, only to fall flat on her face. She asked, "What is this?" "It's not magical," he replied. "Magical? No, it's for sweeping the school grounds." Disappointed, Nori and the other kids started cleaning. While sweeping, Nori noticed the section she was supposed to join and felt drawn to it. She eavesdropped on their lesson about transforming into cats. The teacher noticed her and asked, "What are you doing here?" Nori replied, "Just cleaning." The teacher remarked, "Cleaning the grass?" Nori ignored her comment and focused on the cat, attempting to transform, but instead she turned into an elephant, a chicken, and a third animal. Everyone got scared, and the teacher instructed the students to look away to maintain their concentration. Meanwhile, Sharif came to take Nuri away, warning her not to do that again or she'd lose her lunch privileges. She agreed but said she didn't want to stay there and would rather sit with the others in the dining hall. When she reached the dining hall, her friends comforted her. One of them, who hadn't spoken before, asked how she managed to transform into such a unique animal. She explained that she visualized and focused on the details. He complimented her drawing skills and she promised to draw all of them soon. Meanwhile, in another scene, Rina and Nuri saw each other and Nuri was about to go to greet her. Her teacher saw her and said, "No, we can't go and sit with them. You must always stay with the fire community because friends influence each other." Then she returned to Rina's place, and Nuri couldn't understand why she did that, but she let it go, thinking everyone has their own freedom. The next day, Rina went to class to practice making popcorn again in front of her rival, who made some impressive popcorn. When it was her turn, she managed to make good popcorn at first, but when the teacher tasted it, she said it wasn't right. Rina felt upset and stressed because all the pressure was on her. As she was leaving the class, she met the girl who had been observing her. The girl introduced herself as Sandra and said she had heard good things about Rina, that she was the best in her class, and that she shouldn't compare herself to others. Sandra offered to help Rina improve if she wanted. Rina thanked her, and later she went to study. She met Nuri while she was cleaning and asked her what she was doing. Nuri replied, "Don't worry about it. It's a secret mission for our group. Anyway, how are you doing?" Rina didn't share much and just said she was fine. She asked Nuri about her new friends, and Nuri said they were great. Then they both went about their tasks. At night, Rina went to the library to study and found a strange book. Whenever she tried to put it back on the shelf, it would come out again. Eventually, she took the book, which was black and mysterious, to her room to see what it was about. It turned out that the evil girl was behind all of this and wanted Rina to take the book. When Rina opened it, she found it full of words about how to become better and stronger. Suddenly, black smoke came out of the book and entered her. Meanwhile, Nuri was training with her friends again, transforming into various animals. Sharif asked them what they were doing, and they told him nothing, so he left them. The next day, there was a competition among the students to determine the best student in each group, who would represent the group at the graduation ceremony. Rina easily won against her classmate. Just as she was about to continue, Nuri entered and told them to stop the session. At that moment, Sharif was looking for Nuri, but no one knew where she was. He was frustrated and left to find her. Later, Nuri asked the principal for another chance to prove herself. The principal refused, but Nuri insisted and transformed, showing her abilities. However, she couldn't maintain her form for more than a few seconds and transformed into multiple animals at once. Rina tried to calm her down, but Nuri released a massive fireball that almost hurt her. Nuri returned to her normal state and apologized to Rina, who reassured her it was fine. They went back to their basement and discussed their disappointment, but decided they needed to fight for their dreams. Sharif encouraged them, saying they should keep trying. He revealed that he too had magical abilities, but had been sidelined because his magic only worked when he sang, not when he spoke normally. He decided to train them to use their powers in their own way, not the way others dictated. Rina later encountered Sandra again, who tried to push her away and told her to take the book and leave. Rina refused to speak to Nuri about it, afraid of Sandra because when she left with the book, Rina turned and found the book again. So she didn't let Nuri into the room or talk to her and shut the door in her face. Nuri shrugged and left. The children started training with Sharif every day, each trying to use their abilities for their own goals, regardless of the method, whether it was the way others wanted or not. The important thing was to be good. Sharif helped them see their potential and limits and develop them until they all became proficient in using their abilities. Nuri discovered she could transform into multiple animals at once, not just one. Joe thought he could fly to space, but realized he had limits and couldn't control his flight. The girl with the smoke ability learned to control it, and everything was going well. We returned to Rina, who is still being haunted by Sandra. Rina screamed at her in front of people, and they approached her, asking what was wrong. She told them Sandra wouldn't leave her alone. They said there was no one there. Sandra revealed that no one else could see her and began to manipulate Rina, convincing her to let Sandra help her. Eventually, Rina agreed, and Sandra entered her. It was then revealed that Sandra was a shadow magic demon. Nuri comes and asks about Rina, and they tell her she's in the dorm, jokingly hoping something falls on her. When Nuri confronted Rina, she noticed Rina's black eyes and realized something was wrong. Rina, now under Sandra's influence, spoke in a menacing tone, saying she had been trapped for years and was now seeking revenge. Nuri ran to inform Sharif and the others, who initially doubted her, but eventually believed her. They suspected Sandra's plan involved the upcoming graduation ceremony. Sharif decided they needed to stay alert and prepare for any threats. The next day, during the preparations for the ceremony, Rina, she unleashed the evil within her. At that time, the UDM team was preparing in case a disaster occurred to be ready in the venue. The director came on stage to give a speech, welcoming the graduates and their guests. She said, "It's been a long time, kids." She then introduced Rena to perform a show that would amaze them. Rena began writing large words with fire, saying, "Is this good? Want something else? I'll show you something better." She created the famous fireball she was known for, which kept growing larger and larger until they started to worry. Then its shadow grew, transforming into shadow magic, causing everyone to run away. The director shouted at them, "You're ruining everything." The problem wasn't from UDM, it came from somewhere else. She asked the fire team to handle it, but nothing happened. She asked the animal communicators to call the animals, but they didn't come because they were scared of the shadow. Then those who could fly couldn't do so because of the shadow. Things escalated and became more complicated until Nuri and her friends arrived. Each of them began using their reversed abilities to defeat the monster. In the end, they managed to restrain it. Nuri was about to kill it, but remembered her friend was inside, so she didn't. Instead, she kept trying to wake her up and talk to her. Finally, her friend resisted the monster and destroyed it. When she woke up, she was fine. Of course, everything that happened helped UDM not to remain isolated and outcast. It became part of the school. All its students were distributed into the appropriate departments normally, and they used their abilities there as usual. Sheriff became well established in his department too, and the story ended. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give us a like. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe and activate the notification bell to get our videos as soon as they're released. See you soon.